morning. Here's my outfit today. No, I was going to say this is all from Old Navy, but it's not. I'm wearing these black jeans that I got over the summer from Nordstrom. I've talked about these before. I think I meant to link them, but I didn't, but they're very stretchy. So these are the pants I'm wearing. And then I'm just wearing a black turtleneck that I probably got from Amazon, so it's nothing fancy. This bomber jacket, though, is from Old Navy. I got it over the summer. It's the first time I'm wearing it. I'm wearing these booties from Tom's. As far as accessories, I'm wearing my black frames from Warby Parker. This ring is from Ana Luisa. These hoops are from Ana Luisa. And I'm wearing my new braids that my cousin did yesterday. So that is it. I'll talk to you when I get to school.
Hello. It is now about 4:45, so very many hours later. I really try not to make these vlogs so that I'm showing you my outfit at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and then the whole day passes and it's like, I'm going home now, here's what I did. But it's just been really busy, and that has just been the nature of how the days go. So I'm gonna share with you what we did today, which wasn't like super fantastic or super creative, and it's a little redundant of what we've been doing the past few days because we've been preparing for a town hall meeting, and today we got started with their extended writing project, and I'll show you what I did with that to start. But one of the things I have really been meaning to share with you guys that I think will be helpful, because I really try and give you things that I have discovered or that I'm using that have been helpful to me, either in streamlining like my teaching life, that have been useful to students and myself, or that I just have enjoyed and I think you'll enjoy it. So I have had iExcel, this is my 3rd year. And we have a school-wide subscription, meaning like I don't pay for the subscription. It's provided for by my school. But now that I've used it for the past 3 years, if the school decided next year we're not providing you iExcel, I would use some of the funds that we get to have my own subscription. So up until recently, the way I was using iExcel was I was using it because it's a great tool to either accelerate students that you have, like you will invariably have a couple of students that are performing above grade level and they need to be challenged. I would use it for students that are on grade level to kind of keep them where they're at and then progressively grow them. And then of course, I would use it for students that had like learning gaps in different places. So if they took like the diagnostic test through iExcel, or I got their iReady results and it showed that they were a grade level or 2 behind where they needed to be, like the saving grace is knowing that I have these iExcel skills that I can assign to students, knowing that even if I don't have time to pull a small group or do a whole reteach lesson on some of these skills, they're going to be exposed to it and they're gonna get what they need when they need it. And so that was from jump my favorite thing about iExcel is it's very differentiated, and you're able to differentiate in a very efficient manner because you have access to all these different skills at different skill levels. So up until recently, I would assign skills to students. They would get 5 skills a week, so they would do 1 skill a night. They would do it for homework. Of course, like if we had class time and they finish an assignment early, they are always encouraged to go practice their iExcel skills. And I gave them like parameters, like they would have to get a SMART score of 80 or practice the skill for 30 minutes, because there are some skills that they'll run into that they can't quite get to 80 as easily as others. So then I would say, well, at least practice the skill for 30 minutes. And that has been working great. They do their skills, they submit their screenshots on Google Classroom. I review it, give them credit, boom, bam, bip. And I could lay my little head down at night knowing like, okay, the students that needed like reteaching on Greek and Latin roots or synonyms and antonyms, they got a little bit of something with their iExcel lessons. Or if I have accelerated students, they're not being forgotten either because they are working on skills that are at like the 9th grade level or the 10th grade level. So it's been great. Now, my teaching partner, Taylor, one of her best skills is that she will spontaneously like just get obsessive about researching something and like jump down these rabbit holes. And I'm telling you, every time she jumps down there, she comes up with something like that we both could use. So I don't know how she found it, but at some point she was just tinkering on the iXL like website, and she saw that they had these skill plans, and then like she was scrolling down and realized they have an iReady skill plan, which is great news for us because we have to administer iReady 3 times a year as a district. And so before, what was happening is I'd have to go in and manually assign students the skills I wanted them to practice based on where I knew they were at. What Taylor discovered and what we've now been using is that once you have their iReady scores, the legwork you have to do is you'll have to enter their scores into iXL. And I'm trying to see if I could pull it up for you. I don't want to show any students' names, so I'm going to have to be very careful about it. But you put in their iXL scores. And that took me, I think, between 2 classes. It didn't take me very long. It maybe took me an hour or so, but when I tell you what it does for you after that, you're gonna be like, I'm ready, willing, and able to spend that hour. So I inputted their iXL scores, and then you can either just put their overall score, or you can be very detailed and put in their subcategory scores. So I have the screen pulled up. I'm gonna try and show you an example without showing a student name. Okay, so this is one of my higher performing students in language arts. I have put in his score and all of his subcategory scores from his most recent iReady test. And then iXL just creates this study plan for him. Like, all I did was put in the score. So it's giving you a score range, and based on that score range, here are the skills you should practice, or you can practice in vocabulary. Here's a different skill range. These skills would fall in line with that, and then it just goes on. And then if he's like, oh, I did all of these, like I've practiced all of these, which he has, which is why you see these green bars, and I'm like, okay, I want you to practice more vocabulary. He's just gonna click, I'm ready for more, and then he's gonna get more. Now we're veering into grade 9. If he does all of that, he can keep going, I'm ready for more, and then it's gonna take you into grade 10, and he could just keep clicking that. And it has that for every subcategory. So this one was vocabulary. This one is now comprehension of literature. Same thing, it's giving you score ranges. He has the option to click more if he wants to continue to accelerate himself, comprehension of informational text, and so on. So now this is one of my higher, if not my highest performing student in one of my classes. I'm gonna scroll it to the top, and let me change the name really quick. Put you guys there so you don't see the name. Let's see. I will choose. Here we go. Okay. So I've put in a different name. So again, you see it says my study plan. You can see the starting score range is lower because the student has a little more growth, but it's the same setup. Like, these are all the skills and vocabulary for that score range. This is another set of skills for this score range. And it just keeps going and going with the options of continuing to extend yourself by clicking that I'm ready for more. Same thing with comprehension of literature, informational text. And so now what I like about this is it's still accomplishing the thing that I like most about iXL, in that it's specific to each student. Like, that's not changing. But what makes this even better is that now I don't have to, on Sunday night, go down my roster, look at where they scored, manually like assign skills that I want them to practice, and then send that out. Like, I don't have to do that anymore because all these skills are kind of put on a plan for them. The second thing I like about it is that it gives them choice. So whereas before I was assigning the skills, the way I have it in my class is they know they have to practice one skill from each subcategory, and I said, and you can practice whatever skill you want, because no matter what you pick, I know it's something that you need, and I know that it's going to help you. So I think just giving students a little bit of choice there makes it so that they're more willing and more or less reluctant to practice their skills, because some kids, they just don't want to practice skills that they actually need. And then they still do the same thing. They submit the screenshots, and then I can cross-reference to make sure the screenshots that they're submitting have come from the iReady study plan. And it's been great. Like, it's just made something that I was using that much better, that much more efficient. It is saving me time. And anytime that can happen, that is it's a win-win. Like, it's an absolute win-win. So once we discovered that, we were like even more sold. So Taylor uses it the same way. The only difference is her skill plans and the plans that the students get in there are math-based. But it's the same thing. She's entering their iReady scores. She can put in subcategories, and it immediately, and when I say immediately, it immediately creates a plan for them to use. And you still, as a teacher, know that they're getting targeted lessons based on where they're at, regardless of if they're above grade level, on grade level, or below grade level, and they have access to it. So when they log on, they're just gonna click my study plans, and then they're gonna select whatever subject matter they're looking at. So we've been using that. What I have just recently tried and I'm new with is I had heard about these group jams and lightning jams, and I hadn't tried them yet. So I just recently started using those. So we had a little extra time at the end of my leadership class today. So I had them just participate in like a regular group jam and a lightning jam so that I could show you guys visually what it looks like when you're running one of these in your classroom. And I gave them a very easy skill because I said, we're just doing this for the purpose of showing what it looks like. And I didn't want them to embarrass themselves or me or their teachers. So I think we did ones on synonyms. So I set up the group jam first, and then they just kind of work through it like on their own. But again, it's just more of a collaborative piece. It's a quick check for them and also for me to see, like, do they get it? Is there any reteaching that needs to be done? Do we need to pause and clarify what we just learned? But there's no competitive element to it. It's just like, we're doing this together, we're collaborating, kumbaya, we're all working together. Then after that, I kept the skill the same just for the ease of things. I said, let's do a lightning jam. And instantaneously, you saw like kids more engaged. Like they were engaged before with the group jam, but as soon as it became a competition-based thing, then they were more excited because there's a leaderboard, there's points being scored. The leaderboard is dynamic, so you can see how it's changing from one question to the next. And of course, I did offer them a piece of candy for whoever won. So it was a lot of fun. Like, just even the voice levels in the room increased, but it was all very productive talking and cheering and all of that. I saw some kids get excited when they moved up. So that is definitely something I want to incorporate more of throughout the school year. And I think like maybe there's skill lessons and study sync. So I think I can kind of use it that way to see, like, did they really get the skill through the story, or do I need to kind of reiterate the lesson or find some follow-up lessons along the way? So that has been my experience with iExcel, and I'm very excited to let you know that I have been provided the opportunity to let teachers know that iExcel is providing a free 30-day trial if you would like to use it. And if you do use the link to get that free 30-day trial and you have some questions about what I'm sharing here, either how to make the iReady skill plans, let me know. If you want a question on how to use group jams or lightning jams, let me know. But it's all pretty user friendly. So I would definitely check that out. You don't have anything to lose. And I really think if you get in there and you start using it the way that we have been using it here at my site and with my classes, I do think it's something that if you approach your administrators and kind of show them all that it can do, I think a lot of administrators would be open to the idea of getting like a site license where all teachers have access to it, because we didn't really have to do a whole lot of convincing with our principal when we first brought it on. And that was when we only knew like the bare minimums of what iExcel could do. And they offered, and by they I mean iExcel, offered a training. Like we had a Zoom session where the lady really walked us through like just how to navigate IXL, and it is pretty like self-explanatory. So I have access to lessons all the way from kinder through grade 12. There's integrations with different types of curriculum like study sync integrations, other textbooks that I don't use but I know are very popular. iReady integrations, it has its own diagnostic test that you could give. So it's been really great. Like I have no regrets, and God bless the dark rabbit holes that Taylor likes to jump down and help us come out with something new. So I have been meaning to share that with you for a while. I will be sure to put the link in the description box, so don't forget to look down there if you want that free 30-day trial. Aside from that, today it was pretty standard in history. They are preparing for the last town hall meeting. This is town hall meeting number 4. This town hall meeting focuses on the battles of Lexington and Concord. And so tomorrow, like that's the last thing that's happened in the community that they'll be talking about in the town hall meeting. And they're always encouraged to talk about all the events prior to that in their little spiel during the town hall. So they get time in class to prepare. I don't know that I've ever, I think I have shown you the document that I give them. It changes for each town hall meeting very slightly because the questions have to change because the historical event changes. So this one I think only had like one question they had to answer. I believe they had to answer whether or not they thought was it the battle? Let me see before I say the wrong thing. This one, they had to decide whether or not the battles at Lexington and Concord were justified or not, and then decide how their person would respond. Do they want to comply, which means obey without questioning, oppose, which means to protest, or rebel, which means full out war and declare independence. So they got time in class to do that today. At the last town hall meeting, I will say someone said to their partner, you know, low key, these town hall meetings have been really fun. That's when you know you're doing some good teaching, where it's like they're doing something fun, but they're actually learning along the way. So that is what we did in history. I'm trying to find what I need to show you for language arts, but I don't think that I have it. In language arts, I don't know where I put those papers. We're moving on to the extended writing project where students are writing their own suspenseful stories. And what we did leading up to today is we read a short story during the week of Halloween called Click Clack the Rattle Bag. And I don't remember if I talked about this story in a previous vlog. I had never read the story before, but it's actually quite interesting. And we used that as like a short story sample. And we spent time just plot mapping that story. I had kids color coded, like one color was like, this would be the exposition. One color would be, this is the rising action, and they had to work as groups to identify like the main rising action moments. A different color represented, this would be the turning point or the climax. Another color represented, these are the main falling action moments, and then another color represented the resolution. And I really wish I knew where I put my paper right now because I'd show it to you, but I'm sure that makes sense. Like they just use different color highlighters to mark the story up, as well as simultaneously filling out a plot map. So once we did that, I said, now you're gonna hold on to these things, the story that's now color coded, as well as the plot map, as like a reference tool when you start writing your own original short story. So we took those out today, and today was the day that they got to pick their picture for their original short story. So what I've done in the past, I didn't do this last year, and I don't remember why I decided, oh, because last year they had to write a short story that was kind of based on a book that we read together in class called Look Both Ways, and that book was a book full of short stories. So I thought, let's see if we can tie in writing their own original stories with the book. And it kind of worked, but not well enough for me to repeat it. So I went back to what I've done in the past, where they get this envelope. And in everybody's envelope, they have an image from the book, The Mysteries of Harris Burdick, which that book is also somewhere. Hold on. It is this book here. And if you've seen this book, it's just a book that has very interesting black and white images, and the images are only accompanied by a title and a line. And so in this envelope is one of those images. And so I pass them out. I don't let them look at them until everybody has their envelope. And I really try and draw out that process. And it just naturally creates a sense of suspense, which ties in with Unit 1 of Study Sync, which is suspense. And then when I say go, or you can take it out, they pull out their image. So like this student got this one. And they know that the story that they create has to be original, but it has to make this image make sense. Like this image is the inspiration for their story. The title of their story will be the title of the image, and the line that goes along with the story, like this line says, "It all began when someone left the window open." That line has to occur somewhere in their story. So they pulled their images today. And then I also shared with them some resources they could use to help them start their story. And these resources are from Step Up to Writing. So I provided them with this document that gives them 6 different ways. Is it 6? Yeah, 6 different ways to start a story: a where, a when, action verb, introduce a character, interesting comment, dialogue. And I gave them the steps to starting. Step 1, decide how they want to start using those 6 options. Step 2 is give the reader a clue about where the action is heading. And then step 3, like now we're kind of like in the process of writing the story. So those are available to them on Google Classroom, as well as digital copies of the images, so that they have access to them at all times. Because they cannot take the envelope with the picture in it home, because I use those images over and over again. So you'd be surprised, even in 8th grade, there was a lot of excitement, like what picture am I gonna get? Like they can't wait to see it. So once they had their pictures and we went over those resources I provided, I'm telling them, like, I've kind of eliminated the hardest part for kids when it comes to writing a story. The part where they say, I don't know what to write about, I tell them, you've been provided with inspiration and a title and at least one line of the story. I provided them with the resource to handle the next issue, which is, well, what do I write to start? So I gave them, here's 6 different ways to start. And then when we looked at the 6 different ways, we then went back to the story, click, clack, the rattle bag. They read the first couple of lines, and I said, now identify how this author chose to write, or chose to start the story. And in that case, the author started it with dialogue. And then I gave them 10 to 15 minutes to gather around with friends, people around them, look at their picture, and exchange brainstorming ideas of what their picture could inspire in terms of a story.
I mean, I kind of like the
So even if students had 2 different pictures, I let them sit next to each other to just bounce ideas off of each other. If they had the same picture, they could have chosen to sit together too. But when I walked around, they were doing a pretty good job of like talking about ideas and what it could be about. Some kids were very happy with the picture they got. Some kids were not. This is the picture kids always want, and I can see why. Kids always want this one. Okay. That one's titled Just Dessert, and the line says, she lowered the knife and it grew even brighter. Kids never really want this one, and I understand. Where is that one? Is that another one that's actually not in here? Kids never really want this one. It's a little girl. It's a little girl holding caterpillars in her hand. And it's called Oscar and Alphonse. And the line says, she knew it was time to send them back. The caterpillars softly wiggled in her hands, spelling out goodbye. They never really want that one. But I'm like, just use your imagination. So I told them all I want them to do at this point is narrow down what could their story be about. Think about how do you want to start it, and maybe jot down some ideas of how the story is going to progress. That's it. There is going to be a word count on the story. I think max will be somewhere between 2,500 words to 3,000, because that was the length of the story, Click Clack the Rattle Bag. And that's it. That's what we accomplished today. I also couldn't talk to you during prep because I had to talk to my principal. And then they started an interim assessment, a district assessment. So I truly didn't have any time. Then I had duty after school. Then I had a union meeting that I had to attend. And then I checked in with you guys. So, I don't know. Hopefully all of that made sense. I felt like I was just kind of rambling. But I'm very glad that I got through the main part of what I wanted to make sure to share, which was just how I have used iExcel in the past and some of the new features that I discovered with my partner teacher this year, and how we're using that in our classroom and how much we've been enjoying it. I'm definitely excited to start integrating more of those collaborative jams and lightning jams in the classroom, especially because kids love to compete and I have a ton of extra candy laying around. But definitely make sure that you click that link that I'm gonna put in the description box, because that's gonna give you a free 30-day trial for you to kind of tinker around and see if it's something that is gonna work as well as in your classroom as it has worked in mine. And again, if you have any questions, let me know, okay? So, with that, I need to go home. It's dark outside. I probably won't be able to walk the dogs because it's so dark. But I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you like my new hair, my new braid style, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because I've been pretty consistent, but sometimes it's kind of hit and miss. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I love them. I respond to as many as I can. And as always, I hope that you're well. And if you're not well, please be well. I will say, especially in these times, I'm gonna try my best to put my best foot forward. But I would be remiss not to mention, of course, if you know me and you know what I stand for and what I'm about, to say I'm disappointed by the election results would be an understatement. I'm definitely disappointed, disheartened, just for the country itself, as well as education, because there's a lot of unknowns and we have some very ill-informed people that are going to be making some decisions that can affect not only teachers, but students, and in many cases, the most vulnerable students. So I think even today, I wasn't sure if I would be able to turn on the camera and vlog, because I've just really been in a bit of a mental state lately. But despite the fact that there's a lot of unknowns in education right now and in this country in general, it is nice to come to school and have like the pleasant distraction of work and students, and having like the community here of you guys to talk to. So if you'd like to leave a comment about any of that, I welcome it. If you don't like the fact that I'm making a political comment or giving my political thoughts and opinions, you can go ahead and exit. And I mean that with the most love I can offer you. You can exit, you can unsubscribe. You got to do what you got to do to protect the peace that you need, because I know I will be focusing on protecting my personal peace going forward. And I can't guarantee much in life, but I can guarantee you this won't be the last time that I have something to say about the state of the country in terms of the politics and how it's affecting education, because I think we're in a very dangerous time, to be quite honest with you. So I said all that to say, I hope that you're well, and if you're not well, please be as well as you can. And aside from that, I will see you guys in the next vlog. Bye.